One girl in Fort Sill who I interviewed will always stay with me. She's 14 years old. One of the reasons she left, in addition to kind of the gang violence, is her mother died. She was crying, and I have to say, like, I teared up as well, and I told her, I said, I've lost my mother too.
And another mother who was there with her teenage son, obviously very fearful that if they were sent back, that either she or her son or both might conceivably be killed by the gangs.
So what's happening with these unaccompanied children from Central America and their mothers and the families that are coming over is unfortunately not new, right? The National Immigration Law Center was there in the 1980s when we saw people fleeing Central America during the Civil Wars. We contacted the administration, both the Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, and the White House, when we first started hearing about what was happening with the children that were coming unaccompanied from Central America, to let them know that this permanent injunction exists and that they needed to comply with it. It's very basic stuff. It's the right to be informed, that they have a right to talk to an attorney, the right to make a phone call, not just to their attorney, but to families, right, to have access to telephones, to have access to a law library, to have access to a list of legal services, either free or low-cost legal services, so that the individual can contact an attorney.
Some of us at Munger Tolls learned about the work that National Immigration Law Center is doing to protect the rights of Salvadoran families and unaccompanied children that have been coming into the United States in large numbers recently to flee gang violence. Several of us went with lawyers from the National Immigration Law Center to the Artesia facility in New Mexico.
The federal facility where they're holding mothers and children who are coming from Central America in this most recent migration from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. You have mothers and children all cramped into one bedroom. And the first mother that I asked, "How are you doing?" I said, "¿Cómo estás?" She said, "Muy deprimida. I'm very depressed." And to have such an honest response was very startling, but it was very grounding to remind me immediately why we were there and what we were dealing with. Now, that's a facility that is operated by HHS, the Health and Human Services Agency, and it's a much more holistic and more compassionate and more child-appropriate facility for sure. However, the children that we interviewed definitely were so traumatized.
And what we found is, in the most cases, the minors are coming here seeking a family member who's here, and the protection of that family member given what they are facing and threats in Central America.
I mean, they shared not just about their trauma of what they experienced in El Salvador before they left, also what they experienced on the journey to the United States.
And at Fort Sill, we heard stories from the kids about the ways in which they had been treated at Border Patrol facilities in Texas and in Arizona, which were pretty awful. Very disturbing stories about the ways in which they've been treated in those facilities.
All of that just points to the fact that we have created a system that is not only dysfunctional, but it's at its core, it's unfair and it's violating the rights of people both in the United States and in their home countries. We need to ensure that these children and the mothers and families that are coming from Central America are afforded the very basic due process, fundamental rights to make sure they have their fair day in court and that they are treated with compassion in our country.
And work of the National Immigration Law Center in protecting the rights of these typically very poor and oftentimes people who don't speak English. Protecting their rights is extraordinarily important and really is a reflection of the best values of this country and work that every American, regardless of your political views, regardless of how you feel our immigration laws should or shouldn't be amended, should make every American proud.
The National Immigration Law Center is in this for the long haul. We are committed to ensuring that we fight for the rights and opportunities so that all low-income immigrants, that every person in the United States has the ability to fulfill their full human potential for themselves, for their families, and for our country.